are listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, hosted by Steve Jenny and his satanic assistant, Alex Houdini, both of whom can't go into churches without formatting.
And we're live.
We're live.
And
We're live.
Here we are. Welcome to season 14 of, I was going to say New Visions Radio, to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here, live on the New Visions Radio Network. And of course, simulcasting on our YouTube channel.
That's right.
It's the second season that we've done this. We started off last season, and we liked it. I mean, it was pretty cool. It's been pretty cool.
So it was an experience.
Well, yeah. I mean, working the kinks out and stuff like that, and getting used to it. And I had to get used to doing this because it's been the summer since we did the actual radio portion of the show, right?
Ah.
So I mean, this is pretty cool. This is awesome. I'm really looking forward to kicking off this season, and we've discussed a few times what we want to do, I guess, with this season, and we kind of said, well, let's kind of dive a little bit more into UFOs and stuff like that. We haven't really gotten deep into that kind of stuff. I mean, we have,
We touched upon it, yes.
but not entirely.
No, we haven't gone in depth into it. That's for sure.
We haven't gone in depth. I mean, we've had people like Stanton Freeman on the show.
Yep.
Who else?
UFO Ricky.
Yeah, UFO Ricky. Well, I mean, it does count as a UFO based show, right? Well, alien abduction.
Right. We've had Chris Hawley on to talk about
Yeah.
the multiple UFO sightings, and she's talked to a bunch of abductees and whatnot, right?
Her, again, it's too bad she's not with us anymore. But she was always great to have on the show. And you know what? It's pretty sad that we weren't able to get, because I remember she kept talking about this project, this research she was working on, and talking with a whole bunch of abductees, if you will.
Yeah.
That were getting quite personal with her and telling her all sorts of information. And she said, there's going to be a day when I'm going to share it. And unfortunately, that day never came, unfortunately.
I know.
But, it would be really interesting to hear what these people had to say to her.
Yep.
I know. It's too bad, but
she was a great person too. Like, I mean, just she became friends of the show, right? So
she was a friend, period. Just a friend, period. Like,
exactly.
I mean, I don't know how many times, she would email me, and that's the way she was, email, and it'd be in bold lettering, capitals, Steve, call me now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's 2:00 in the morning. And this is obviously, after a show we did or something like that, or she was probably listening to one of the shows. And, I remember one time calling her and it was directly after the show that we talked about my experience with the Credit River creature sort of thing.
Correct. Yeah.
And she goes, call me now. We need to discuss this. And I said, sure, I guess. And this is like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
I call her up and she goes, okay, I need you to tell me in detail exactly what happened. Well, do you got a few hours? No, It didn't take that long. But I mean, it took a while. But she ended up writing an article for UFO Digest on it.
That's right. Yeah.
Which and of course her blog and of course it made it to her book.
Yep.
Which was really cool to see that when that came out. But too bad. Really, really too bad. I mean, some of the core, oh man, and I don't want to dive too much into it, and I don't want to get everyone down. I mean, we're supposed to be happy. This is good, hitting off a new season. But I just want to say, it's really sad that a lot of core guests that we had on the show, friends of the show, are no longer with us. Of course, the recent passing of our good friend Gareth Davies, the Mindset Podcast, who's no longer with us. And of course, well, we only had Jerry E. Smith on once.
That's right.
I don't know. Were you on were you co-host of the show when he came on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was a great show.
It was.
I
talking about HARP.
Yeah, I just finished listening to the archive actually last night for the very first time in years. And, I mean, I read his book, but I mean, it's different reading somebody's book and then, having the person on the show.
For sure, yeah.
And talking about and expanding on the points that he brought up in the book, right? But of course, David Ferrant, another person who's, you know what? I like to dedicate this season to all those guys. Yeah. I really would. I think we need to dedicate this season, to the good friends of the show, that are no longer with us, and of course, most recently, Gareth. Tonight. Oh, by the way, what's new, Alex?
Nothing. There we go. Another one for the books.
Another one for the books. Well, we have to let people know who may not have been listening to the bonus shows and all that kind of stuff. You've had quite the summer, man.
Yes, I did.
Do you want to let the listeners know what happened?
Oh, I just had, a baby. Nothing big.
You had a baby or your wife had a baby?
My wife had a baby. I just watched.
So essentially, no, something is not nothing anymore.
That's right. So I do have something new.
You're a busy guy.
That's right. I am a busy guy. All of a sudden.
Oh God. Anyways, I'm looking forward to this season, and helping us kicking it off is one of Mindset alumni, Joe Dunn, the Florida Trailblazer.
Here we go.
Well, we might as well bring Joe in.
I've already brought him in.
Where? I don't see him.
Oh, he's coming up shortly.
Just kidding. I just want to see if he'd react to that.
Hello. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Joe. How are you, man?
Good to see you guys. Alex, Steve.
Hey, Joe.
It's great to have you with us, man. Like I said, Gareth was always saying you got to have Joe on the show because he knew I was an avid hiker. And he said, "Oh, you'd get along with Joe Dunn. That's what he does a lot. And you got to have him on the show to talk about stuff." And I said, "Yeah, that'd be pretty cool." Unfortunately, afterwards. But I mean, hey, it's great to have you, man.
It's definitely good to be here, and I'm glad to. And Gareth always talked highly of you guys' show, so it's an honor to be here with you guys, kicking off the new season too. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, and I'm thankful for it. And that Gareth introduced us.
Well, what I've been meaning to ask you too, and like, how did you and Gareth meet? Like, how did you guys hook up? Like, in terms of, okay, well, Joe's a regular on the show.
Yeah, Gareth. I met Gareth way back in early 2000s. I think maybe around 2005 or so.
Mm-hmm.
I was online actually searching on iTunes for podcasts about paranormal and music and things like that. And his podcast came up for Nervous Teeth. That's how I initially started listening to his shows. If you guys check out Nervous Teeth, his archives, if they're available, they're pretty funny. Him and Rod did shows on there every week, and it was just so inspiring to hear them. Because I was actually, when I listened to his show, I was an aspiring podcaster myself. I got into doing music podcasts and stuff like that. So they played music on the show, like independent music or just cool music, during the breaks, things like that. So I was like, this is really cool. They're joking around, they're talking about current events, serious things, but they're kind of joking about stuff too. So it was lighthearted, but they also had music, so that brought a lot to the show, and that's how I sort of listened to them. And they had a forum. Remember forums back in the day?
I know.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Remember they had a forum. You can go on there and chat with the other people on there that listen to the show. It's so cool. You can get in touch with the community. So I started talking to people that listen to the show, and Gareth was on there, and I met him, and I emailed him, and that's how we initially connected. And he actually, I think I was a guest on one of the episodes on there. I can't remember. I called in or something. It was crazy.
What, Nervous Teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for like a few minutes. I was so nervous. I called in, and Nervous Teeth, I'm nervous.
Well, it's unfortunately I didn't know Gareth that far back in terms of Nervous Teeth. It wasn't until I guess the Highgate Vampire thing came up in my search. I mean, I had been followed the case for a while, and I remember listening to this podcast, and they had Sean Manchester on to talk about it, and then they had David Ferran on, and then I said, "Oh man, I got to get these guys on the show," and I got a hold. Well, I didn't get a hold of Sean Manchester, but I got a hold of David Ferran. But before that, I had been doing some research, and I noticed that Gareth had done a show with David Ferran, and found out that he had been corresponding with David for a few years. So I reached out to Gareth, and talked a little bit about that, and I think that's initially what happened. And the next thing you know, it's like, hey, Gareth, you want to come on the show? Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And
That's
back then we weren't doing the YouTube thing. Obviously, it was just a radio show. But it was, it's funny listening to that episode. The first time that Gareth was on, he was so professional, right? It's,
Yeah.
dude, relax. we're all friends here. No, it was pretty cool, man. I mean, Gareth, he was a great guy, man. He was an awesome guy, and like I said, listening to that show was like, wow, it was pretty neat. And I don't know, Alex, that was like 20, 20, I
Was it
think,
9?
what was it, 2010?
Was it 2010? Well, I know it was a while ago.
2015.
Oh, okay. It was
It was,
quite a while ago
Yeah,
still.
I think it was 2015, the first time he came on the show.
And it was on Blog Talk Radio, right?
Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah, I think it was the last year that we did
Yeah.
Blog Talk. Yeah, I think that was it. 2015, I believe.
It's incredible. You guys have been at a long time. And I remember, I mean, he was like a pioneer, in my opinion, to a lot of this podcasting. And because back when he was doing Nervous Teeth, there wasn't a lot of podcasts out there like that. And I remember I was working at the time at this place, pulling up his show, and I had the whole office listening. It was crazy. They're all laughing. They're like, "What are you laughing at?" Not just laughing, but also talking about the topics and things like that. And I remember you guys talk about doing these investigations. He did an early investigation at Rod. I remember they went to some church or something, and they were chased out of there. And this was so this was so pioneering because they recorded on some kind of DV recorder or something. And they had it for the podcast. They were having trouble uploading it. And he was so into that. It's inspiring. He was good at doing documentaries and videos, things like that.
You know what? He was he baffled my mind with how he was so quick with putting stuff together. It was really neat.
Yeah.
And and again, I sort of bring, say, hey, look, he was an inspiration with what I would like to do with this show in terms of making it more multimedia, in terms of the YouTube aspect of our show. Because I mean, I really think that we've reached the plateau with the radio aspect. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love broadcasting live on radio. I still love it. We have a lot of listeners, and a lot of regular listeners, a lot of regulars that tune in that way. But I just, this last season that we did, it was just entirely different, and it was eye-opening. And I don't know about you, Alex. It was kind of revigorating.
It is. It's a new medium, a new reach, different people, and it was something that we could experiment with, because with YouTube you could do a whole slew of different things that you can't really do on the radio. Like you could play clips, movie clips, or video clips rather, audio clips, and have some graphics go along with it. You know what I mean? Just kind of like we did with the new intro we had today, right? So it's one of those things that you can't really do with the radio show. Like we could videotape an interview with someone, let's say if they really can't make the day, our schedule, and they have to do it on another day, we could, record it and then play it while we're doing the live show, and then we could have live commentary of the actual video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we're currently working on a documentary, and we've been showing clips and teasers and stuff like that during the break as well, the breaks that we take. So yeah, I mean it's cool, but
keep growing. I'm excited because you talked about your documentary before, and I'm excited to see this, you guys. So keep at it, doing that kind of stuff. That's one thing we talked about Gareth earlier. That's one thing he would want both of you guys to do, and all of us to do, is keep growing and keep expanding. And you mentioned about it's about the journey, evolving your channel, and how reaching your audience. That's what it's about. And so I think you're on the right track for sure. And I love radio too. I want to mention this. You mentioned about listening to radio on Garrett's channel. Someone posted that they listen to his shows at 3:00 in the morning in a van in a parking lot.
Yeah,
so
I read that. Yeah.
It's like, I was like, that's incredible. So people do listen to radio, and they find solace, and they find a release in that. You know what I mean? I do.
Well,
I still listen to radio. I mean, all the time.
yeah, I mean, I like Gareth, and I remember Gareth mentioning this one time, well, several times, but I mean, we both kind of drew inspiration. I don't know about Alex, but probably Alex as well, from people like Art Bell,
Mhm.
And listening to his radio show late at night, early in the morning,
Dude, I
and
love listening to reruns of that show. Like
oh
sometimes they
yeah,
play it over here, like AM radio. I'll be driving late at night, and
but
it's incredible to hear just the archives of the show, people calling in and talking about their stories. It's like, wow, it's incredible,
yeah. I mean, believe it or not, I mean that's the thing. I mean, some of the stories you're like, wow, really?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it didn't matter if it was real or not. It was entertaining, and that was the
exactly.
thing. It drove me as a fan to go and try to find some of these lesser known shows out there, like Clyde Lewis. I don't know if you're familiar with Clyde Lewis and oh God, what was his name? Lou Gentili. These guys were pioneers, podcasting and live radio, with the paranormal and all that kind of stuff, and conspiracies and all sorts of stuff. They talked about it, and here you are. Thankfully with the internet, you're able to grab the podcast, grab the even that sometimes I was able to grab the live feeds. It's and yeah, exactly. There are people out there that are listening avidly. Oh, hey, there's a new episode. Let's grab it. Or, I mean, there are certain things I miss about when we started the show off. We were broadcasting out of Blog Talk Radio.
Wow.
I mean, it was
I remember that.
yeah, it wasn't the best format, but what I did like about it was you'd have a lot of listeners, but you'd have a live dedicated line too. People could call in. We had so many people call into the show, and there was obviously when we first started, we were broadcasting at what was it, 11 to 1 a.m. in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a lot of interesting people calling into the show, and trust me, we did. And but I mean, at the same time, we had a lot of really cool people that came on, and their perspective was just amazing. Just really amazing. So, I mean, people like Justin Valrio. I think he's in chat, isn't he?
He is in chat, and wasn't he one of the
Hello,
ones
Justin.
that Crank called the show a couple of times first, and then he came on. We started talking to him.
Yeah. Yeah, he had his audio troubles, man.
Yeah, he had his audio troubles.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? This is Justin.
Justin's awesome. I've seen him on with Garrett too on YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say too, you guys talk about the evolution of radio and podcasting. I remember doing all the shows with Garrett and all the guys and the crew there, and it was a lot of it was just audio too. It wasn't just visual like it is today. It's crazy how it has changed.
Yeah.
And so it was great to see him doing his YouTube channel and growing that, and seeing all the different people. I like that because it was different people all around the world. It was incredible. It was more than he ever did on his regular audio shows.
Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, like I said, I was in awe, just amazed at how many people that he gathered, if you will. Like, so many people from all over people like Reeves and Ben and Trevor here in Canada and yourself, and the list goes on and on. I mean, there's so many people, and yeah, it's all like
He's a genuine person. He reached out to people, and he gave them a chance, an opportunity to express their opinions and want to grow something that he felt was passionate to him, and to be a part of that was incredible. So that's what I leave from all this is like what he brought us all together, and also just everything that he gave to us. You know, the positive things, the creativity, keep growing. That's things like that.
Yeah, no, he and what was I going to say? I lost.
And it's hard too because I just want to say the first week or so after his passing, it was hard for me. I couldn't move. I was frozen. So I don't want to get back into that.
Yeah, I bet.
But I will say that that morning I went out on a run because I'm an avid runner besides hiker.
Yeah.
I went out on a run. I ran like 10 miles, and I thought, because I believe in energies
Yeah.
and energy and stuff. I feel like I'm going to run, and all this energy is going to go to Gareth. He's laying in the hospital bed. He's going to heal. I want this energy that I'm getting running go to him. This my strength. I felt that. So when I got back, that's when I got the news that he had passed. That I guess that morning, and I was so devastated. I was like, man, I failed. Like I wasn't there to help him. That's a helpless feeling. But I also felt like I was paralyzed, or maybe I couldn't move for a while, or I couldn't create. I just didn't know what to do. I don't know, for a little bit. And then the next day, I was laying on a couch, and he was with me because I got up and I said, something told me to go to the woods and make a video. So that's when I went and made my dedication video to him. And that was a really good relief for me to just go out there and talk, just let it all out, my emotions. So, but that following week was hard after that and all that. So I appreciate you guys, your dedications and all that. And it means a lot.
Well, and you know what, Joe? We need you. We need you to keep talking. We need you to be a part of something, man. We really do, because it's amazing, and I'm glad that because of Gareth we've met, and you're here now and stuff like that. It's just another thing that Gareth left. So that's
For sure. Cool. And I've been thinking about this because, like I said, the first few, it's been hard, but I've been getting stronger because I feel like that's what he would want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I make videos. I even made like a video. I was joking around about something, and I would send it to him. I wanted to send it to him a couple of days ago, and he wasn't there to send it to him. I was like, oh wait, but that was like a way. I think that was a sense of him being there with me. Like he was right there. Like I was thinking about him. So keep his memory alive and keep creating. I know it's hard. You're grieving, but you have to keep moving forward. That's what he'd want for sure. And,
absolutely.
The best you can. It's just devastating the way that he went. It's hard for everybody. I known 2 people that went from COVID. It's hard. And Gareth was the hardest because he's my closest friend. He's like a brother to me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, obviously I didn't know him as well as you did, but it just, you didn't want to think that was what was happening to him.
I know.
With everything, and you
thought he was going to pull through, right? Even if he had
pull through, or you just hope it was just a really bad cold or a really bad flu or whatever else. And unfortunately,
that's the way he was. I didn't press the issue with him too earlier on. I was like, are you sick? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. And I just knew he was strong, and you're not going to tell him what to do anyway. It's just like, he was going to do what he's going to do.
Well, I told him in Messenger, because we were talking a little bit when he was sick there, and I said, dude, you got to go, man. If you're this bad, you just find out, just make sure you're okay. And he's, I've got a cold, I'm okay, sort of thing. But dude, it's still going on. You've had it for quite a while now, but yeah.
It's unfortunate, but we had to look at the positive now, right?
We do. We do.
And that's what I'm doing. And also he spoke, like I mentioned before, he spoke so highly of your show, Nocturnal Frequency. Tell me, I mean, he was always talking about it. I'm going to be on the show this week, that kind of stuff.
Well, we had a great relationship when he came to the show, because we had him on a bunch of times just doing our dark discussions too, or something like that, where we would just have a round table and just sort of go back and forth and banter back and forth, throw ideas back and forth, and he was the type of person that when it came to the paranormal, he wanted to believe so badly. He was so enthusiastic, is the word I was trying to look for. He was so enthusiastic when it came to it, whereas Steve and I have become so sour over the years, with all the stuff that we've gone through, and it was kind of refreshing in that sense, because I remember when Steve and I first started doing the show, we were like that. We were very enthusiastic. We were gung-ho about all this stuff, and then over the years it's like, fuck, not another one, you know what I mean? And whereas he kind of reinvigorated everything.
You didn't feel inspired along the way?
Well, it's not the fact of feeling inspired. You just after a while you just kind of get tired.
Yeah.
You get tired of talking and trying to find something that's something new and
Yeah.
something different. It's really hard. I mean, we started off the show. I mean, there have been a few episodes where we'd venture off and not talk about the paranormal, but I mean, mostly talk about the paranormal. But I mean, we've had actors and actresses on the show. We've had musicians on the show. We've talked about several different topics, but mostly geared towards the paranormal. And you can only talk so much about it,
Mm.
And then all of a sudden we said, well, look, let's try to bring this to a whole different level, and say, look it, let's do this, man. Let's give it a run, and it worked out. I feel better about it. I feel more confident about, especially with this new season after the last season. I mean, we had some really good guests on the show
Yeah.
last season. I
Yeah, we
mean,
did.
not to mention we had all those damn lockdown shows.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we
Yeah.
had the most shows per season on season
I
13.
think I want to bring this up too. You mentioned that because lockdown, I think, is as bad as it was. It did inspire a lot of us to push the limits and
Yeah.
do things we wouldn't normally
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Right?
For
We had
sure.
more time. I remember I was like I had a decision to make. Because I had less hours at the job I was at, and I had more time. I had to make money more and try to expand my creativity, my process, my videos, things like that. Why not spend the time doing that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I tried to just put more time into my craft.
Well,
Use it, make positive out of the negative in that aspect with COVID and the lockdown.
Well, I have to say, Joe, you are a busy guy. I mean, you are like literally putting up how many how many new episodes or whatever are you putting up on your YouTube channel? Do you figure a week?
I mean, at least 3 or 4 right now.
Yeah,
So,
and
it also varies. I'm trying to do different videos. I have new footage, old footage, um, and I'm trying to do different things. So it just varies. But yeah, I think keeping busy is key. Keeping creative. Keeping
well, let
growing.
let the listeners know and the viewers whatever exactly what your video is about, what you do exactly.
Yeah, well, actually, I read to you real quick because I was featured in the article here.
Yeah,
How about this? It's pretty cool.
awesome. And this
This
is new. Is this new?
was last year.
Oh, last year. Okay.
Yeah, I was featured in
Oh,
this
look at that.
magazine.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I just wanted because they did a great write up about my adventures. I'll just read real quick. It might be more. Being outdoors is a huge stress reliever, and it's just like a brief intro.
Yeah,
We'll get
go
more into
ahead.
everything. Being outdoors is a huge stress reliever. So for many years, I try to get out every weekend or when I can
Mhm.
and go explore new places of wilderness. I've always videotaped my hikes for at least 10 years and adventures throughout Florida. I started Florida Trailblazer, and started sharing all my videos to the public. It's so freeing to be outdoors in nature. This is really my passion in life. Going on an adventure exploring in the woods feels like being a child again, enjoying wildlife, historical sites, hiking trails, and preserves. It's a way to disconnect from modern life and reconnect with the great outdoors, your own true nature. It's my mission to encourage people to get back outside, to unplug and reconnect with the natural world. Nature tests you and it brings out the best in you. So, little intro,
That's
intro
awesome.
there.
And you know what?
That's
I know we have your link to your site on the description, but tell everybody, because we also have the radio version as well. So tell everybody where they can find you, so that at
Yeah,
least
so
they
go
can.
on YouTube.com/FL Trailblazer or Florida Trailblazer on YouTube to search that. You'll see all my videos. And it's nature, it's history. If you guys like cemeteries, abandoned ghost towns, Indian mounds, things like that, I'm always exploring them. And part of my mission is to document them, share the history before it's lost forever. Because so many areas in Florida, because people are moving here all the time, and areas are being developed, and a lot of these places are being destroyed. So I try to make videos of them, so people will be able to see them, appreciate them before they're gone, and just it's also pretty neat to see these places and share them with everybody. So
Yeah.
Why start this? Why did you like? What got you into like the historical aspect? Hiking is one thing, right? I
I
love
know.
hiking, and I know not to the extent that you're doing it, but I would hike, I would trail run, and I was trail running for years, and I finding these places in the middle of nowhere that intrigued me. Alex, the Devil's Mound was
Yep.
one example that I took you to.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
Which one?
it's called the Devil's Mound. Well, the
Oh,
Devil's Ring or the Devil's Mound. Intriguing little place. But I think Joe's. Okay, there you go. No, but what got you started, like interested in this?
well, it does, like I was reading before, it does start from a childhood exploring areas, but initially here in Florida, I mean, when I was in the woods, I would find old cemeteries. Um, I remember finding this old cemetery in the woods initially, and I was like, what is this cemetery doing here in the woods? It's intriguing. There's got to be more history behind it. So I started reading about it, and at the time I was doing videos, I wanted to document the cemetery. So I did all that, and I thought there's got to be a lot more places like this throughout Florida, right? And I made it a mission to start tracking them down. That's kind of what got me into, as far as Florida Trailblazer, was discovering cemeteries, ghost towns, things like that. Indian mounds were hard in the beginning because it's very hard to find those. We have a lot of Indian mounds in Florida, Native American Indian mounds, but a lot of them are deep in the swamps. You really got to hike out there along the rivers, the creeks to find some of them. You'll find some in state parks where they're restored. They got berries around them. You can see signs on them.
Mhm.
But there's some deep in the swamp, so I find a lot of those. But early on, it was hard to track them down. So I'm just really curious. The unknown, what's out there. These places, like I talked about earlier, I think they have energy to them. So when I was at these cemeteries, you feel a certain energy. You feel the past.
Mhm.
You know the history. You just feel the history. I just felt like I had to explore more. So that's what got me doing the videos about it. But early on, when I was a kid, I used to go out in old railroad lines, explore those, and just hike for miles. When I was like not even a teenager, just go out in the woods. And looking back now, it's like how did I not get lost, right?
Yeah.
You're right. So I did that early on, but yeah, as far as my channel, that's how I started my channel, is finding old cemeteries. So it's interesting, and you guys talk about some of your investigations maybe you've done at cemeteries, or
Mhm. Yep.
and I know some people here in Florida that do investigations, and I know they pick up EVPs at them, some of the same ones I've been at. So it's intriguing to me, a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, most people will go, well, why would things wanna, or people or whatever wanna haunt a cemetery? Wouldn't you think they'd haunt an area where they lie, where they passed away or whatever else? I don't know. I never really made it a mission to go investigate cemeteries other than, oh, they're cool at night, and that's about it. But I mean, there have been well, I could say for one, a pioneer cemetery that we did some work with the historical society in the city where it's located. That proved me wrong when it came to cemeteries. I'm like, wow, this is. I never, like, it was one of the most active places I've ever been to.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Like how? You
just
see the energy, or just
the energy. Like, we would be there, just documenting at night, taking some audio samples, just photography. In fact, I had one episode where I was, I think it was November, and up here in November it gets chilly, of course, and it was quite foggy that night. And I remember there was four of us, and we went up. We were gonna, snap some shots and do some audio work, some EVP work, if you will. And I remember we split in half. Two of the other guys went down to the other side of the cemetery, and two of us, went towards a different part of it. And I'm snapping pictures and not thinking. I'm like, okay, well, that's weird, because I'm looking at the photos after I snap them. I'm like, okay, that's odd. There's two people in the photo, and there's three people, or two people in front of me, one person in the photo. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. This is weird. So I snapped another picture, same thing. And so I call out to the guy in front of me and I said, hey, where's so-and-so? He's just down there at the other end with the other guys. Okay. So who's in between us? And the second I said that, the person that was in between us walked off and veered off towards the corner of the cemetery and completely disappeared.
Oh my gosh.
It was the oddest experience I'd ever had. And I originally thought, okay, well, I need to try to recreate that, because if I can recreate that, then obviously I can figure it out. I thought originally that it's probably just the shadows from there was a light, street light not too far. Okay, it was just casting a shadow in the mist or in the fog.
You were trying to make sense of it.
Just trying to make sense of it and doing whatever I could to recreate, snapping pictures, trying it over, rewalking the same path and everything else. Nothing. Couldn't recreate it. Can't explain it to this day, but I'll tell you, it was the weirdest experience I've ever had. So
that is interesting. I think of cemeteries. I've recently I was at one, and have you guys ever picked up on scents or like smells?
Yeah.
I was at one recently. I was at the corner of a grave site, and I could smell like almost like a perfume, like your grandma would wear or something. Just it was. Yeah. I was in the middle of the forest, so it couldn't be nobody there. Mm-hmm. It was just so overwhelming for a moment. So, and then also smelling smoke, things like that, like cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Scents and.
But also that you talk about the shadow people. I haven't seen like a defined person like that. But I have felt like there was someone there in the corner of my eye, or someone watching me, like in the woods right around the cemetery. Yeah. You get a certain vibe, that's for sure. And there's one cemetery by me I go to recently, and I picked up on this. It's like a good vibe, like a good energy. I like going there. I like sitting there and actually talking there. It's call me crazy, but I'll talk to the grave sites, like there's spirits there. I'll like talk to them. Yeah. Just how you doing? But also, there's some cemeteries.
Nothing crazy about that at all, man. Come on.
No, it's a release. I know, but some people might listening and might think it's because you're there. It's like you're there with another presence. You just know it. Yeah. But also, there's other cemeteries I've been to where you feel like you have to get out of there, but you're not wanted or something. It's just, and I've been determined to make videos. Yeah. And I'll stick around and make the video, and then I'll get out of there. But one thing I am concerned about when it comes to this topic is. And I talk to my friends about it that do paranormal investigations. Is like as far as spirits staying with you. Say if you leave a cemetery, yeah. So that's one of my concerns. And there was one cemetery I went to, and most of them are good, but there's some that you go to, there's some negative energy there. So there was one I went to. I don't know who these people are. I was sitting at the grave site. I'm just recording a video, and I just was overcome with like grief, and I started crying. Wow. Yeah. And I just felt like I felt like I just was sad, I don't know, just interesting. Yeah, those kind of things. Maybe it's just me though.
No, not at all. I mean, there's been times that I've been to some of these cemeteries, and you do get that vibe. You actually do feel a sort of emotional attachment for some odd reason. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing, but you're not the only guy, man. I'll tell you that. You're not the only one. Yeah. Hold it there. We're going to take a break, and we're going to get more into that stuff and more of your, experiences, what you found along that, that path that you're trailblazing, man. Because, I mean, you got some interesting stories, man. So everybody hold tight. You're listening to season 14 of Nocturnal Frequency Radio and watching us on YouTube. If you're not, like and subscribe, please, to the channel. And we're here with Joe Dunn, the Florida Trailblazer. Hold tight, guys. We'll be right back, okay? There we go, Alex. And we're back. Season 14. Thank you for tuning in and checking us out on the YouTube simulcast. We're here with the Florida Trailblazer himself, Joe Dunn.
Good to see you guys.
So before we went for break, we were talking about, cemeteries and, how you get certain, emotional feelings and stuff like that. I mean, but we're not talking just like, we're talking about Florida here, Joe. It's not the same thing going to some of these small abandoned cemeteries that are literally in the middle of nowhere. And like you mentioned, you're talking about swamps, you're talking about, like these areas that most people would dare not go into, because look at what's Florida known for.
Oh, as far as like theme parks, beaches, things like that.
Yeah, no, but I mean like animal-wise, reptiles.
Oh yeah, crazy snakes here.
Snakes,
we got kinds of snakes, alligators, even crocodiles too in the southern Florida.
Yeah.
We got pythons, invasive pythons.
Yeah, so, well, let me ask you about that. That is a real problem.
Yeah, I haven't experienced any pythons myself. I'm scared though, because that's like what happens. Like, do they wrap around your leg and pull you down into the swamps? Because I've seen them. They take out alligators, because alligators are the dominant, the dominant creature out there, the animal.
But I'm hearing they're going after the small crocs, the baby crocs and stuff like that, and they're killing some of the other animals off, like some of the species off down there.
Oh yeah, and you mentioned about what people know Florida for, and I was just kind of joking around. I do know it for Disney World and theme parks stuff like that, but we have the Everglades and so many different wilderness areas, like you mentioned, and the wildlife, it's crazy. Your panthers, the snakes. And I've encountered all kinds of snakes, eastern diamondback snakes, India mounds and things like that. I've seen some, all kinds of crazy. But pythons, I haven't come across a python yet, so thankfully. I've seen some iguanas recently out in the woods on the eastern side of Florida. That was interesting. I never seen an iguana over here where I'm at on the western side.
And those guys can get pretty big.
Yeah, they do. I saw one in a parking lot at Walgreens. I was like, what is this? It's like a big iguana.
Have you ever come across a situation that you're like, I'm in shit here. I'm in trouble?
Yeah, when I'm out there in the middle of the swamp and you're trying to hike through certain areas and you get stuck in the mud out there, and like the swamp mud that people call it, or quick mud. Yeah. You can't move. I mean, you literally it swallows you up. And I've come into that kind of quick mud, and I get out of there real fast, and then you're kind of like you can't get out. It's like, what do you do, right?
Yeah.
But as far as that kind of stuff goes, as far as tracking or hiking, but snakes, you'll see snakes all the time. I just saw one recently. It was a water moccasin, huge. When I walked right over it. Thankfully, it didn't attack me. But it woke me up though. I was like, wait, I had to be alert. And I just want you guys to know I am safe out there. I'm alert. But sometimes you can become complacent. You kind of get comfortable in nature, but nature has a way of waking you up, making your senses heightened. We talked about energy before, and nature has a way of bringing the energy out where you can sense it better around you. Yeah. So with that being said, you can sense like the wildlife and kind of everything around you. So sometimes though you get used to that, and you kind of like your environment, and then all of a sudden a snake appears, and you're like, oh wait, there's snakes out here all around me, and then that fear comes in your mind, and that's when you're thinking for a moment there, do I turn back? That kind of stuff.
Well, I noticed, watching several of your videos there, I noticed your awareness. You could see it when you're constantly like looking to your side or behind, like you can see it. You like, I'm aware of your awareness, Yeah,
you have.
Well, you'd have to be.
And I've been rushed by alligators out there too. I was out along the river, and I spooked them. It wasn't like I didn't do nothing to them. They just didn't expect me to come around the bend there on the river. And I didn't see the alligator. And this alligator just came across the river. And I was trying to get a video actually at the moment. It was just so fast. Those things are so fast. You guys think alligators are slow? They're not.
No, they're fast.
Yeah.
They're fast.
This
I
thing,
mean,
it wasn't trying to come at me like attack me, but because it was so spooked, it didn't know what to do. I feel so it just came straight at me where I was standing to get away, and it went underwater. But that moment, those few moments where it was on top of the water, swimming like on top of the water, it was incredible. I never seen nothing like this. It actually was going so fast it floated on the water, and then it went under, and that was it. I was
well,
like,
isn't
wow.
there? There's a huge national park, I believe, just south of Tampa. And I think it starts with a W. I can't remember the name. And it's known for what is it? Something to do with the alligator spawning. It's apparently there's like huge, like massive amounts of alligators that
Oh,
congregate.
my Mayaca State Park.
That might be it. That
That's
might
one.
be
That's
it.
an area down south of me. That
Yeah.
one just mentioned that because I have a friend actually. He took his boat out there. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Jungle J Adventures. He's another adventure on YouTube.
Yeah.
But he goes out there. He went out there in his canoe or a
Yeah.
kayak in the middle of these alligators in the park. They were out. I just never seen nothing like this. They were all around them. Like I was like, "Are you crazy? They're gonna tip the kayak," you know. But he made a video and he got through it. But that was pretty interesting. And seeing all the footage he took, the slow motion and just the action of the alligators. And he went to an alligator farm up by St. Augustine. We're talking about St. Augustine on the break.
Yeah.
There's an alligator farm up there, or some kind of. You can go up there and see all kinds of alligators, incredible, even crocodiles. If you guys are just coming to visit Florida and just want to see something in a sanctuary, he went there and did a video, and it's a good sanctuary. It's like a wildlife sanctuary. And that was pretty cool.
Now you've pretty much been all over Florida, right?
Yeah, from the south up towards the Panhandle, but I'm trying to get further west on the Panhandle actually. So I've only been so far in the Panhandle of Florida.
It's beautiful up there.
It is.
Like I remember driving driving all the way from California across.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was an incredible journey, man. Driving all the way from just north of San Francisco in Sonoma there, and coming all the way down south to pretty much the border there of Mexico, and driving across the 10. And just
I've been on I-10. So that's
it absolutely beautiful drive, man. And stopping in places like you get into Texas.
So did you go into Florida from I-10?
Yeah. So is it? Yeah, it's the I-10, right?
Yeah, I-10.
Yeah, I-10. I think we took
from west to east on Florida Panhandle.
Yeah, so we took the 10 to was it the 75 or 79? I can't remember where it was. I'd have to look at a map if it was I-79, I think, that goes south. It's like literally the first highway that goes south. What's the first highway that goes south in Florida? Is it 75?
Yeah, 75. So you're on I-10. You hit 75.
Yeah.
And it goes south. And then also 95 if you go further.
Yeah. No, we took we took 75, and but yeah, like I said, stopping in New Orleans. I don't know. Have you ever been to New Orleans?
I've never been there. No.
Oh my God, it's beautiful, man. It's a lot of people are afraid to go there, but
that's why I'm saying trying to make my way further west. So up in the Panhandle, I've only been so far, and then I'm trying to go further westward towards that area.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there, man.
But we're talking about interstates real quick. I want to bring up I-4 because on the break you were talking about I-4, right? You've driven that. That's the deadliest interstate in the United States. Do you know that?
Yeah, you know what, man? I know. And it's funny because I remember one time when we were driving back from again Orlando back to St. Pete's. And we're coming across, and we got stuck in traffic, and I think we were literally stuck there for 2 hours. What had happened was, again, a motorcycle, a cyclist. I don't know what happened. He literally ran in at a high speed into the back of a cargo van.
Now, was
And
this by Orlando or outside of it?
it was probably more close to Lakeland, I think.
Okay.
Closer to Lakeland. But I think the guy wasn't wearing a helmet because I mean it's not mandatory in Florida to wear a helmet, right?
No, you don't
Yeah.
have to on a motorcycle, which is crazy. I mean, if I
I
was on
know.
a motorcycle, I'd always wear a helmet, but it's people, you see it all the time.
Yeah, and
But
it
they
was
call
really
that the dead zone. Do you know that?
yeah. I remember somebody saying that before, but it was just surreal seeing this body covered on the highway and behind the van. Man, I'm like, wow.
You saw that?
I saw it, man. It was fresh.
That's crazy. But the I-4, I was reading about this, and I've been over there exploring it. I was trying to do a video actually one time about this.
Yeah.
It didn't work out, but it's the dead zone, they call it. Just outside of Orlando, there's a town called Sanford. If you guys drive on I-4, be careful because there's been many accidents. People claim to have seen orbs. They've claimed to seen a white horse, in the area where they're driving. But there's been many accidents, just like you talk about. Countless accidents. In fact, the most accidents, I think, recorded. That's why it's the deadliest highway in the U.S. since like the 1960s or something like that. But also, there's a lot behind that because when they were building the highway, they built this over many old homestead sites, burial sites, grave sites, even Indian mounds. Yeah. And in particular, this area where the dead zone is. I don't know if have you read about this, the actual dead zone part, or heard about it?
No, I've heard about it being a dead zone, but I don't know too much about the actual.
I've been over there looking for this grave site because German settlers, they came here in the 1800s, and they had a homestead there, and it's incredible because when you go there now, it's all highways and development. You'd never know there was just a farm there with a homestead and some German settlers. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that may have been like 4 family members there. I'm not sure. But they passed away from yellow fever, I believe. Mm-hmm. So that was a big thing back then. When they were buried, they were never given their rights to death.
Okay.
Their religious rights.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to that curse. I guess they didn't get their rights, and then someone purchased the land, and after that, they disrupted the grave sites. The person tried to farm over the grave sites, disrupt them, and then he found that his house burned down after that. So he blamed it on the grave sites. He said because he disrupted them, he cursed them, and that's why his house burned down. But then they sold the land. But in between that time, there was other people that lived on that big swatch of land that was available there, and they claimed that there was stuff going on in their houses, like toys being moved and things like that, doors opening and shutting. You can see all this stuff in like the archives of the history, if you read about it. It's incredible. So after all that stuff, they actually did put a barrier around the grave sites where they are to preserve them. But in 1950, when they were building I-4, they just bulldozed over the grave sites and paved over.
Wow.
So now when you drive over this dead zone, that's the curse, is that not just that family, but one of many have cursed that land. That's sort of the myth behind it.
So where exactly along the 4 is this now?
No, it's near the town of Sanford. I've actually driven. Yeah, I've driven off. There's a park there, like a county park, and I've actually went there and I parked there. I tried to hike down to find the site of the grave. I think it's behind the wall where they built the ramp where it covers the bridge right there where it goes over the road. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to find that, but there's also an ancient burial mound back there too, Indian burial mound. So you talk about building over homesteads. These people, they've built over burial mounds, things like that. People that lived here 500 years, 1,000 years ago, even longer than that. They're great sites as well. So I've been reading a lot about that history, and a lot of burial mounds I go to. A lot of the stories goes if you walk in them, you're desecrating their mounds, and you can also not be cursed, but you're disrupting their burial sites.
They'll come and get you.
Yeah. So that stuff does stay with me, and I was saying, call me crazy when I talk to some at grave sites earlier and stuff like that. But I go in there and I talk to them and try to present myself. Hey, I'm here out of respect to video and document you and your history and bring your history to life, and not show any disrespect. So I do say that kind of stuff. I'll sit at a mound, and I'll kind of pray too sometimes. in a way.
That's the perfect thing to do, man.
Yeah, it feels good.
Show respect. I try to do that as much as possible. When you go into, like, I'll talk, like I said, there was I mentioned a Pioneer Cemetery that we were doing research at and stuff like that, working with the city. There'd be times I'd walk in and actually talk out loud, and that's essentially to provoke, not necessarily provoke, but to see if there be a response. But just to let them know, okay, hey, it's me, I'm back. You probably remember we've been here several times.
Man, I've done that so many times. There's one I go to in the middle of the forest. Not many people know about it. I do that too. Like, hey, it's been a while, and it's good to see you. That's pretty cool. That
Joe,
you do.
Joe, I got to do it every time on the show with Alex here. He forgets.
But I want to mention too, because I talked to a friend of mine who does, and I tried to do a video with him before we did the show tonight. So I could have something to talk about his investigation group where I live at. But he was telling me some of the stories because these are the same cemeteries I go to, that he's investigated with EVP recorders and stuff like that. Yeah. And they take their craft seriously. And he's actually a volunteer at one of the historical museums here, does a lot of that kind of work. But he was talking about how one of the cemeteries I go to, they hear children laughing in the forest at 3 a.m. They also seen really good shadow figures. I'm just reading something here. And then he have got an amazing EVP. We believe the cemetery has a paranormal protector that guards the cemetery, and this entity has shown itself on our hike to the cemetery many times. So that's one thing he said about that. And he said this is also strange. One night we were there were hundreds of lightning bugs, but not one single bug came into the cemetery area. They all stayed outside the area and completely surrounded it. So that's what he told me.
Ask him if this cemetery has a lot of children buried there. And
there's infants there. They died. They didn't even live to be a year old. And then, because I mentioned this earlier, they died from like yellow fever, things like that.
See, up here was mostly smallpox, and the thing that struck a chord with what you were saying there was the children. You hear the voices of children or whatever. This particular cemetery, what I coined as like ghost chatter, if you will, and I hate using the word ghost, but it was just a quick reference. You'd literally be in this cemetery at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and you literally hear what sounds like whispering all around you, but you can't make out the words.
I've done that. That you bring that up, because I was going to talk about this on the show. Yeah, I've heard that. I made a video, remember, on a promo for the show about hearing faint voices, and I have heard those. You can't make it out, right? It's you hear. It's like you don't know how close it is.
It's the eeriest thing that I've ever experienced. Yeah, and every time I try to capture it on audio,
you can't get it on audio.
Not the chatter itself, but you get EVPs. Like, I mean, some of the voice is just intelligent. Like, I mean, I should send it to Alex. Alex, you want to play it?
Yeah, sure. Send it over to me.
I was at a cemetery. These my same friends, they investigated. I was there a week before. They went the next week. They were doing EVPs, and on the EVP, they got a capture. I can't say for sure what verbatim, but it was like, "Where's Joe?" or "How's Joe?" or something like that. They said my name. The EVP did, but I was there a week before.
Yeah,
I also wanted to mention too, not just cemeteries, but I've been to like some plane crash sites.
Really?
I've been to this one in the woods here in Florida. Imagine this. Imagine your plane crashing through the forest, and then that's where you die. That's your gravesite, right?
Yeah.
Initially. So I always wondered if people would have gone there to do EVPs, that kind of stuff.
Well, it makes you, obviously, with for instance, what the 20th anniversary of 9/11. passing by.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that.
You kind of think about what was it in Pittsburgh, or sorry, in Pennsylvania there, where that other flight went down, and you kind of think going into that field, and the thought that you would be able to capture some sort of energy, like somebody saying something or whatever, of the people that perished that day. You're almost certain.
When I went there to do the video too, it's like when you're doing your investigations, you're not going there to show disrespect. And
no, absolutely not.
That's
not at
how
all.
I am.
No.
When I was there doing that site, this wasn't like a big plane crash site like that, like what you're talking about. This was like a small kit plane with just like one passenger.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is he was missing for 6 months, and then someone have found him a week before I got there. And then when I got to the site, you could just pick up the energy a little bit. But also too, you could tell that it just had been cleaned up. It was a really interesting but eerie experience at the same time. I was excited to see it, but I was also sad. But also, what do you do? How do you post the video? So I tried to make my video as a memorial to him, really.
Yeah, that's crazy, eh?
And now the site's still there. You can go there. I actually set up a camera, believe it or not, a hunt camera there to kind of keep track of it, to make sure people go there and show kind of respect of the area. So.
Yeah, it's
But besides the cemeteries, there's so many different sites like that, like you're talking about. I'm just with stuff that happens.
Yeah. It's Alex, I sent you the EVP.
Okay. I just want to ask a quick question, Joe. Have you ever considered exploring outside of Florida, like doing what you're doing, but outside of the state?
But he has, yeah.
Have you?
Well, thank you, Alex. Yeah, man, for sure. I'm trying to do that. When I can, I do get to different states. Been in North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, Tennessee. I do want to go out more west. Financially, it's tough, and the time available. But when I do, I try to make the most of it. But when I go to those areas, I try to make the most of it and apply what I'm doing here in Florida to those states. Look up the history, but it's overwhelming at the same time, because I don't know as much about the history, the wildlife, the environments. And I found plane crashes there, incredible cemeteries in North Carolina and Georgia. I'll talk about this right now. I found an old ghost town there in North Carolina. It was incredible. And if you guys want to get into Indie Mound discussion, I found all kinds of Indie Mounds up in Georgia and throughout Florida here relating to all this stuff. So, but Alex, I would like to, it's called Florida Trailblazer Beyond, if you will. I want to do more of that stuff.
Yeah.
And most of that obviously is in Georgia, right? So
in
far?
Georgia, North Carolina too, though.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, North Carolina. Okay.
And then I found some stuff in Virginia early on, because I had some time up there one summer. I went up there and I was on the Appalachian Trail, all kinds of cemeteries. If you guys hike that trail, look for cemeteries on the Appalachian Trail. You will find some. And it was a pretty crazy experience. It was foggy. Imagine that you're walking on the trail and you just all mist and fog around you, and you see a cemetery there. It's just amazing. So I want to get back there. So thank you, Alex, for bringing it up, because I want to get back out to those areas.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure.
Let me let them out.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of places where you can go. You know what I mean? It's just, and you're right. It's a question of finances, obviously, right? Yeah. So I got the EVP loaded up. If you want me to play it.
Yeah, play it, man. I want to get Joe's thoughts on it too, and obviously the listeners out there and the viewers and whatever else. So yeah, give it a go there.
Okay, hang on.
I'll check. Go around and ask some questions and we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
So just level to the ground like this.
Yeah, just make sure.
Now, so essentially, I don't want to force feed anything, and I want you guys to, what are you hearing? But what I'll tell you is you'll hear somebody, like a guy talking, and that's one of the guys in the group. He says something, and then a woman, responds, and then as the woman responds, you sort of hear something over her voice. So play it again, Alex.
I'll check. Go around and ask some questions and we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
So just level to the ground like this.
Yeah, just make sure.
So just as he's saying something back to her, just before he says something, you hear something. Play it again.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'll check, go around, ask some questions, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
So just level to the ground like this.
Yeah, just make sure.
At the end, that's what. Just make sure. Was that the EVP?
No, so you're just here. That's the guy responding again. So just
Wait,
just,
the guy is the EVP.
No, not the guy. Okay, so you're gonna
I
hear
got
the guy talking in the beginning, and then you're gonna hear a woman respond, and as she finishes, there's a little break, and then you'll hear something, and the guy responding afterwards.
Okay.
Again. So it's just as the guy's about to respond, you hear something, and then he responds.
I'll check, go around, ask some questions, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
So just level to the ground like this.
Yeah, just make sure.
It's a little girl's voice.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah.
No, well, I guess I don't know. What do you guys in chat? What do you hear? What are you hearing? Let us know what you're hearing. High pitched ha ho.
When did you capture that?
That was 2007, I believe.
It's interesting to capture those kind of sounds on your.
Yeah.
You know, you guys talk about videos. I've actually captured when I was hiking to like a burial mound in the swamps here in the area I go to. I captured like someone had comment. I posted a video, right? And someone's like, "Did you see the face in the video?" And if you look at the video, you can see like an impression or a face just briefly in the shadows of like the brush there. Yeah. Almost like a shadow or like a. Just for like 5 seconds, that kind of stuff. I used to have someone that followed my videos. They would always comment and say, "Did you see this?" And they would analyze every little thing. And that's one thing they point out. And I was like, "That's interesting." I remember that day too, because I was hiking. Because you don't see this stuff live when you're out there, when you're hiking to some of these areas. It's when you look back on this stuff, right? Just like when you're recording your EVPs, you don't hear it sometimes when you're there.
Well, I mean, there's times when you think you hear something, and then nothing. But for the most part, what you're hearing is, you're hearing. And I told, because I remember we did a show with Gareth, because he was like, "Oh, so what are your thoughts? What are your theories about what this is?" Because he was so intrigued with what he was hearing with a lot of these, and I said, my research, my initial thoughts is the answers lie within infrasound. I believe that if we analyze infrasound and we're able to analyze it more, that I think that realm holds the answers as to where this stuff is coming from. Now, may it be like because when we talk, we're talking now. It's infinite. We're creating energy. It never dies.
No, if you hear
it loops.
Yeah, the energy. You're right. There is an energy there, right? But when you hear something live and you don't record it, like the EVPs, like say it's on you get home, you play it back, you hear it. But when you're out there live and you don't record it and you hear it, that's just something else.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what is that? Like you were saying the voices earlier and all that. So are you tapping into something real time when you're out there?
Well, I think it all has to do with infrasound. Like I said, we can't audibly hear infrasound real time. Like animals are able to hear it.
You know, I told Gareth about this. You bring this up, and he talked about, because I heard some sounds. I was hiking towards a river, and you guys bring up like Bigfoot or skunk ape, and because that's often what I get asked about. Do you hear about Bigfoot sounds real quick here?
Yeah.
Bigfoot. This is actually what I got on tape. Here it is. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah.
No. No, I'm just messing with you.
Okay.
No, I'm just a little toy here. But seriously, I was out hiking. You do hear sounds like I've met Bigfoot hunters where I go, like skunk ape, they call it here in Florida, and I hear sounds like something being thrown, right? Like they told me like you always go out there armed. I don't go armed. I don't carry a gun when I hike, just so you guys know. So call me crazy, but they say you should carry a gun out there, because especially with the skunk apes. and they'll communicate with you. And I've actually heard sounds, things like you can hear something throwing, or a branch, like a large branch being thrown at you, not at you, but around you. But then I told Gareth about this. I was hiking towards the river. I heard that sound, but then I heard something like a metal sound, a clanking sound.
Okay.
This is like about a month ago. This is sort of before he passed, but
Yeah.
he was like, he actually told me, he's like, been getting reports of people hearing this sound. Bigfoot hunters in general, just they hear like this metal sound, like a banging, like a tailgate hitting a car, like a truck.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's no cars out there, no trucks. You hear in the distance.
I mean,
so is that the sound you're talking about? Like, is that the the infrasound that you're talking about?
Well, it could possibly be, but I mean, for the most part, we don't have the ability to hear it unless we hear it recorded.
So you never heard nothing live like that? Like
we can. I mean, there's been incidents where that's happened. Yeah, like we've heard, we can hear it, but the thing is that, I like to say, is it a glitch in the sound? Is there some sort of glitch? I don't know.
There's something out there making the sound. That's what was intriguing to me. It's like, what's out here making the sound? So what I did that day is I hiked towards the sound. I mean, I was already going towards that area. I wasn't gonna give up making my video. And I thought, let me go to the area, see what's there, and there was nothing there. But also in the back of my mind, my instincts was telling me I was a little bit scared, in a way. I was like, what could be out there, But there was nothing there once I got there. But I heard this sound; it was distinct, and I've heard it a few times now, in one particular area. So
well, it's funny. You said the metal clanging, we are, this documentary we're working on. There was one night when we heard something like a metal clanging, but it wasn't necessarily. It sounded more like an old metal sign hitting the wood post that it's hanging on. Like clang.
Well, that's kind of a little bit similar. I think it was like it was banging up against something. It was just a brief moment.
Alex, play that EVP again a couple more times, so they got.
It's interesting to hear the sounds. Like
I'll check. Go around, ask some questions, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
So just level to the ground like this.
Yeah, just make sure.
Play it again.
Yeah, one more time.
I'll check. Go around, ask some questions, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
So just level to the ground like this.
Yeah, just make sure.
Yeah, I hear that right there.
So you hear that, what sounds like a little girl saying something.
Yeah. But you can't make it out, right?
Well, the consensus is, and I kind of agree with it, after, propping up the audio, it sounds like she's saying, "I'm cold."
Huh.
Now I force fed it to you guys. Play it again.
I'll check. Go around, ask some questions, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
So just level to the ground like this.
Yeah.
Just make sure.
Well, you did say that. Now that maybe I'm thinking that, but it does sound like that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm cold.
So basically, when
But there's a voice there, whether you want to make it out to hear what it's saying, but there's a voice there. You captured it.
It is, yeah. Frank brings out, the tone is very similar to the woman's voice, indeed. And when we analyze the video portion of it, you can see there's an actual video portion. She's not talking at all, right? So I mean, it's we thought it was her too, but it's not.
It's such a brief second.
It's such a brief second, and it's the oddest thing. But I said, it's not the only thing. Like, it's not the only example that we've captured out of that particular Pioneer Cemetery. I mean, there's literally, so much that we've gathered out of there. It's just
Have you
insane.
come across like ritual sites and things like that?
It's funny because there was one night we went up there, and the headstones were knocked over, and there was candles
Okay.
all over the place. It
Wow.
was just the weirdest thing,
I've seen some too. I've been out to in the woods, and I've seen like candles set up, pictures posted there with like beads and all kinds of stuff around. Like you could tell it's an altar or kind of ritual site, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna mess with this. You know, I'm curious. I'll take a video or a photo, but I'm not gonna touch it. And in my younger days, I did dabble in some of that kind of stuff, but I've learned to not mess with that. You know what I mean? If someone's got something set up there, I was like, I'm out. I'm out of here, kind of deal.
Punches says it does sound like I'm cold.
Nice.
We've tried 6
Hello,
days to
Punches.
Sundays.
I
Yeah,
want to say a shout out. He's a great follower.
yeah. Um, it's analyzing these potential EVPs, if you will. I mean, the one thing that we do, and the guys do in the group there that do investigate, when they have a file, they have something. Uh, Send it to me, but don't tell me anything, and let me review it without you know my thought process being contaminated. Punches says hi, Joe.
So
Um,
what do you guys think about so I've been researching a lot of Florida history about like the Mayans and the Mayan
yeah,
history. You
okay.
talked about other states and I've been up in Georgia and supposedly the Mayans Indians reached up there and they had like a village site. So I explored there and I got a lot of interesting experiences on that adventure. That was years ago, but now I'm finding out that it's possible that they may have come to Florida.
It
You know,
wouldn't surprise me if they got up even further. It's
yeah.
just amazing. The thought that how far these guys, some of these tribes actually made it.
Well, when you bring this up though, like a lot of the tribes that are traditional, they don't believe in that. You know, like the Cherokee Indians, this is their territory, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
Georgia. So like, no, the Mayans weren't here, but when you look at the evidence, it's clear. It's
Well,
interesting to me.
there's been some evidence found.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at like the stuff that's been found in petroglyphs, and if you match them up with the petroglyphs that have been found in Mexico and
Okay.
in South America, like in Georgia or North in Florida here,
Yeah.
they kind of match up. Things like that. The pottery, the symbols that are marked in them, they kind of match up. I was kind of reading about this because I did an exploration, and after about 800 AD, they had to expand out. You know, their land was they had droughts and they had no more land, and
Yeah.
they had to find other territories. So a lot of the myth is that they went to the Americas long before like the Europeans,
Mhm.
you know, and it's just really interesting. And here in Florida, we have an area called Crystal River. If you guys go there, you can see a petroglyph on a stone. But
Yeah.
also there was a series on Science Channel they did. They were talking about a temple mound that's there that supposedly is a Mayan temple mound, but it's an island right there at Crystal River. It's private. You can't get there. Even the Science Channel, they weren't allowed to go on there.
Oh wow.
But supposedly it's got steps like a pyramid, and they say pyramids, but it's more like a temple mound, right?
Yeah.
So that I find that history kind of interesting, and there's a lot of spiritual kind of aspects to that, for sure. You know.
Well, it's getting on this topic a little bit more. Um, y- y- Up here, it's of course you have your tribes, your native, native Indians here. That basically didn't have a border to separate them, like Canada, U.S. now, and down there with Mexico. They roamed without borders.
Hmm.
So obviously you have a lot of the same tribes that, say, for instance, in Ontario, where we are, with Western New York and New York State, have a lot of the similar tribes. But what's intriguing is when you want to talk about some people who made it here, uh, a lot earlier than perhaps what history is telling us, like Vikings, for instance.
Yeah.
And
Especially
how
in your area up there, right?
yeah, how they
In
made it to
Canada.
Vineland, which is Newfoundland now. But the possibility of them actually making it further down into the U.S. I mean, I believe there's some sites along the Mississippi. I don't know exactly where. I think it might have been Missouri. Excuse me, where there's some evidence of Viking ruins.
Interesting.
I don't know the exact location, but maybe somebody in chat might know a little bit more about it. But and they're I don't think they've officially been passed off as
You know,
Viking
this is
ruins. But
this is incredible that you bring this history up. I just feel that in the world, not just in Florida, but all around you know, wherever we're at, there's so much hidden history still out there. It's
oh yeah,
incredible. I mean,
incredible.
and there's so much things unknown, so many things that are not being told to us
We have the best.
behind these sites, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, look at South America, all those pyramids being discovered, the mounds and the ancient cities, because of lidar, things like that. It's incredible. But also here in America, like you're talking about, and up in Canada, I mean, just different things like. I mean, it really is amazing.
Well, I mean, you look at what is it? The thought is that in fact, they're saying humans came after the last, what is it, the last ice age? I think they were saying about 8 to 10,000 years ago. But in fact, there is uh, evidence that there was a well-known uh, city temple. What was oh God, Graham Hancock talked about it, I believe. And it was roughly about 13,000 years ago, a modern city that at the time that when we were thought to be just hunter and gatherers, that this city evolved. It was a mecca, if you will,
Wow.
and it was modern, and they can't understand the fact that look at okay, this doesn't make sense because I mean history tells us that at this point we were still hunter gatherers. We didn't have the knowledge to carve these stones and build these monuments that were found in this particular site.
Wow.
Hopi Tepe, I can't remember the name of it. Hopi Tepe or something like that. But it fascinating, the thought that look at there are civilizations I think that are lost to us that have been here way longer than what history is telling us.
Now, I've been researching the Florida pyramids. This is
Yeah,
interesting because I actually interviewed for a show on Discovery Channel or one of those networks one time, and the topic was Florida pyramids.
yeah.
Um, and this was just like an audio kind of thing, and they didn't give me too much detail about the show or about what it's called. I was like, "What is Florida pyramids?" Right? This is like years ago. I just researched this past year, and I did the interview with them and didn't make the show, and the budget didn't work out, so the show never went on. But they wanted to do the show about the Everglades because supposedly there's like pyramids, or I call them temple mounds, that are buried
Yeah.
in the swamps or that were from Mayans. That's why I brought that up. So it's kind of interesting, intriguing that all this history throughout the world, even though it's so developed, that we can still find this ancient history, and who knows how long it will last. You know, so it's amazing to see that and learn about it. And after I interviewing for that show, I was like, wow, what is that? So I started researching that, and it's incredible. It led me to the Crystal River site and researching about how the Mayans got up into America, like you just said.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how history will lead you to different areas.
Uh, the the city that I was referring to is in Turkey,
Oh wow.
and go. God, I can't even.
Can you
say
go
it.
there now? Like, what is this?
I believe so. You can go there. Yeah, it's Galopi Tepe. I think it's called.
Yeah, that's the one that Punch just put in the chat, right?
I actually booking a
What?
vacation there
What
pretty
did
soon.
what did Punches?
It's
I
good.
haven't seen it. Yes, exactly. Punches. That's it. Yeah. 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 It predates. What is it? It predates Stonehenge by God. I think.
Stonehenge. Have you heard of
Yeah.
Florida's Stonehenge?
Yeah. No, I
Coral
don't know.
Castle.
I know about what is it? You got the what is it in Georgia? There, you got the monoliths or whatever.
Well, here in
The
Florida, we have
the guide stones.
the Coral Castle.
Oh, I remember the
Oh,
Coral
they call it. A
Castle.
lot of people call it the Florida Stonehenge because this guy was incredible. He moved he carved and moved these boulders
Yeah.
that weigh tons. That they're like, how'd he move these tons and form them in the shapes he did? One of the biggest ones there is like 23 tons. It's incredible. So if you guys go to Homestead, Florida, visit Coral Castle. It's a mystery of how he developed this site. And they actually compare it to the pyramids and how they built the pyramids and how he used like anti-gravity and different techniques. Some of the locals even suggested they saw him floating the stones, back in the day when he built this. It's incredible.
I think
It's amazing. It's an amazing story. And you
Yeah.
know what? I kept saying every time I wanted to go down to Florida, I'd go there and visit it, but I never.
Didn't they
I
do
never
that?
got around to it.
Didn't they do an episode on Coast to Coast about that? I'm pretty sure they did.
I think a couple times.
Yeah.
I've never been there, and I've been trying to get over there, but I want to do a video of it and go experience it for just for the first time, get a feel of it, and then do more of the investigation, see what there's a stone there I'm just reading about. It's like a gate stone where it turns like a door.
Yeah.
And he built this to where the gravity is a certain way where you can this stone weighs tons, right? You couldn't move it. But he built this, or he constructed it where you can just touch it and it moves because of the way he countered gravity. How'd he do that? They say he tapped into some kind of ancient technology. Like you're talking about these old cities, how they were here. What happened to that technology they had? What happened to those cities?
Well, I mean, okay, so history and text or whatever they tell us. You look at the pyramids in Giza, of course, in Egypt, and they tell us they were built a certain way and they took this amount of time, and then you look at it and these people, they put these calculations down and they say, look at no, they had to have some sort of technology to build these temples. It just doesn't make any sense. And you sit there and go, well, who's right here, man? I mean, the fact is, these things are, a work of marvel. I mean, when you look at them, to this day, they're just amazing.
That's true. And I talked about indie mounds earlier and the pottery and things like that you find in them. The tools, the weapons, the stuff they used to make all this stuff. It was a form of technology to them back then. And it seems primitive to us, right? Like we that's what I wonder too. If they were so advanced, why is so many things kind of primitive when you look back on it? Something was lost,
Well,
along the way.
I know something else that Hancock wrote a book about. I can't think of the title offhand, but how you look at cave paintings, they're all over the world, and then at some point they just stopped. And the book dives into, well, why did they just stop making these paintings? I mean, what happened? It just doesn't make any sense.
I tried to find there's no paintings in Florida. We have caves, but no like ancient paintings. Like that. But I've seen documentaries about these areas you're talking about, and it's incredible, the paintings there, how old they are, and it's just amazing to me how they're still preserved, and where these people lived, and imagine the spiritual aspect, like you're talking about. Imagine going there doing investigations. What you might come up with.
Yeah. I mean,
would you go off the beaten path and go into the deserts of these areas in the mountains and climb into these.
Absolutely.
I watched this one thing. You know, this one civilization. They lived in the caves of these cliffs.
Yeah.
Have you seen this? And they have paintings in there, just like you're talking about. They're very old. Imagine going up there and just seeing what you can discover.
It'd be amazing. Because I mean, look at these places. The energy that these places hold are amazing as in itself. But the thought going into these places and trying to soak in the energy through, what you said there, Joe, with investigating them. I mean, it would be a huge undertaking because how I think to figure out the best possible way of handling something like that. Number one, you'd have to be really respectful.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, that's the important aspect of going into a place like this is to be respectful of the environment. You talked about talking and saying something when you enter or when you show up, but leave offerings. Whatever, like food or whatever that they might.
The Native American Indians used to do that here. Not to cut you off a little bit, but
that's fine.
Everywhere they would bury their dead, and they would go back weekly, and leave offerings, food, because they believe that the spirits needed this to kind of continue on into the afterlife.
Well,
that's interesting. Think about the ancient burial practices too. Of people. It's fascinating.
Again, you look at the Egyptians and how they, embalmed.
Yeah, I mean, and I was reading too, like here, they would leave like the belongings of people with them, and then crush them up and leave them in the mounds, things like that. So imagine hundreds of years later, explorers coming here find these evidence from the past, the traces from those people. Now, would you be cursed? Are you taking a chance, by digging up these?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you look at a lot of places in the world that are very traditional in their thoughts. I mean, you look at, for instance, the suicide forest in the base of Mount Fuji in Japan, and all the people that have died.
I've never heard of that. That's crazy.
It died in that forest. I mean, they'll leave the bodies in the forest and they won't touch them. They'll leave them as they, because they feel that if they touch them, they'll be cursed.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up, Joe. It's interesting.
Yeah, so you literally can walk through this forest and see skeletal remains. It's
not a public forest where you just hike through, or is it private property?
Well, no. You can hike. It's a national forest. Like, it's a national forest, but they warn people going in here saying, look at, if for some odd reason, it I think it's worse than Golden Gate Bridge for suicides.
There's a place in America, I forget the name of it, in the Northeast, I guess, where a lot of gang activity happens, and they have a lot of people there have been killed in this forest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can go there and just see bodies. Not bodies, but people just get this kind of, that's where they dump them.
Isn't that the state of Jersey?
It might be up there, yeah, somewhere there.
Poncha says they
Jersey, right?
they do remove the remains. I know I've read a few times where they have, but I mean, for the most part, they've left the remains.
Yeah, the Indian mounds I go to, they've done excavations, like say back in 1970s or 80s. But when you go there today, they look undisturbed. They actually put the mounds back the way they were. If you look at old photos, they just took out the artifacts for dating and stuff like that. Sometimes they go to museums, but they do put back. I hiked to this one mound is like from 900 AD. How about that?
900 AD.
Yeah.
So what exactly is this place?
It's it dates back. It was the Indian village back in those days.
Yeah.
And they had a whole village around the area, and they would bury their dead this mound. So when you go out there, you just see this big sand mound in the middle of the woods.
Well, let me ask you. You mentioned earlier about places like cemeteries and whatever else you've gone to, and you didn't feel good at all. Like you felt, okay, I got to get out of here.
Right. Yep.
What do you mean? Like
Well, like
what's your thought process? Okay, why do you want to get out of there?
I don't know. It overcomes you.
Yeah.
Like you're not kind of wanted. Maybe just something. I don't want to be videoed. You talked about talking to spirits, and you go in things like that, saying I'm here to make a video of the cemetery or history.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's an instinct. When you're in the woods, you get instincts. So when you're out there, that's the feeling I get. It's like I'm kind of not wanted at a certain place. And actually, and like I told you before, I'm dedicated to get the video, so I'll stay there. But it's like I'm forced out.
Yeah.
I've had it. It's not all the time. It's happened a few times, and I feel like there's someone there, like in the distance, in the woods, right there.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to ask you. Would you say, like, it must be awfully freaky that being out there and then all of a sudden you come across another human being?
Yeah, that's more scary than anything. 'Cause
Like
you don't know
you have to, yeah, because you don't know what they're gonna you don't know what
Yeah.
they're gonna do. I mean, are you safe? Is this person like stable? Like why is this person out here?
I'm really trustworthy, to be honest. When
Yeah.
I meet people, but you're right. There is that sense of I go with my instincts again, but I've run into some kind of interesting characters along the way. But people ask me all the time, oh, what's the wildlife, the snakes, the alligators, and we're talking about spirits, and actually people is what you don't know who you're going to run into out there. And there's been many times where I've hidden. I've seen people or like a truck going down the forest road. I'm like, I don't want to get seen by this person for some reason. And I'll hide off in the woods,
Well, I'm off.
I don't want to have the encounter. But then there's other times where, like today, I had an encounter with someone in the woods, and they were so nice. I just had a vibe with them. I talked to them. I had a good conversation. So it just depends.
I'm often asked, what do you think about demons and stuff like that? I'm not going to get into that, but what do you think is evil? I say humans. I mean, I think humans are the most evil things that are known to us. I think the things that we've been able to do to what we've done to each other. And it makes you wonder, the possibilities. You look at serial killers and everything else. It
crosses my mind too, because people can be deceiving. You don't know what they're up to.
Yeah.
I try to go into the experience of being trustworthy and friendly and with the best outcome. But like you just said, you don't know how people are going to be, because I've encountered, just like out of state, actually. I was at a trailhead. You bring this up.
Mm-hmm.
I just pulled up there, right? And this white van pulls up with like two people in it. Like, oh, how you doing? That kind of thing. And I just got that weird feeling about them.
It's almost
they were asking what
it's almost like that van with the guy enticing the kids with the candy.
Yeah. But I felt like I feel like they kind of eyed me out and saw that I wasn't a good target for them for some reason, and they moved on. But they were asking about like the area. Oh, where can you hike? But it was just so out of place. And then one other time I was in North Carolina, and at the trailhead, just as I started to hike, this guy comes out of the woods limping, like he was hurting his leg. Like, wow. I need help, right? I just could tell it was fake.
You could tell it was fake.
Yeah, I mean,
it just came off like it was fake, right? Just like the guy.
Yeah, he wanted a ride back. Kind of. I need a help. I need a ride, kind of deal.
Come on, let's face it too, Joe. I mean,
but there's a lot. Do you go with it, or you just go with your instinct and just? I kind of felt like rude about it. I was just like, no, I'm sorry.
I mean, Florida is known to have quite the eccentric.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Because there's a lot of people that obviously aren't from Florida, but they live in Florida. They weren't born in Florida; they just moved to Florida. I mean, there's so many people.
You don't know who you're gonna run into where they're from, right?
I take that from I don't know. I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary Florida Man. Have you ever seen the Florida Man documentary?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. I know Florida Man. Trust me.
check it out. I mean, there you go. It's just it's interesting. They go around and they interview people, just average people from around Florida, and some of the people they interview is just like, wow.
That's what gets me too. They're like, oh, it's only in Florida. Well, these people aren't from Florida. They're coming from everywhere else, right?
They're coming from everywhere else. They're not from Florida, but they're from somewhere else.
But I run into some people here. I was out hiking too, man, and this guy was stuck in the path, and he had an off-road vehicle, right?
Yeah.
I had no choice but to walk by him. What are you gonna do? I had to walk. He was kind of stuck. He kind of seemed suspicious, and I wanted to help him out. And I got him out. I actually helped him get out of the sugar sand. We call it sugar sand here. He was stuck in the middle in the forest. He couldn't. He was trying to rev up his engine. Couldn't. His wheels were spinning. I got in front of him. Said, "Go this way." So he got out. He got out of the car. He gave me a hug. I was like, "What? What the heck?"
Dude,
I ran into another guy. Get this. I'm sitting on a trail. This guy comes down with just a Speedo on. Seriously.
on the trail.
Yeah, and he had clothes hangers attached to his nipples.
Nice, nice.
Oh, look at
What do you
me.
think about that? Dude? And dude, he tried to talk to me like normal, which I'm nice. Like, hey, how you doing? I'm talking to him like, hey, nice day out here. And he's like, hey, you don't mind this, do you? I'm like, no, I don't mind. It's your thing, But about a minute later, I was like, I gotta get going,
Yeah. I'm feeling a little uncertain here. I gotta get out of here.
You should have just tugged on those clothespins.
Yeah, she's like, hey, how's that feel?
Look, if the guy gave you any shit, you could electroshock him or something.
Yeah.
I've seen some weird. I've seen some guy too. He's walking down, and he's just kind of stumbling around the trail, looking. And he told me he's looking for something from hunting, and I don't know. So you run into some kind of weird. I want to bring this up too about cemeteries.
Yeah.
I was going to a cemetery. As soon as I get there, I can tell if someone's homeless or maybe living out in the forest right by the cemetery. That was creepy. Because I had to go through there. They weren't there at the time. And then, but I could see where the bottles were, and they kind of put everything in a container. They're keeping everything in a fire. So you run into that too. What do you a blanket laying there? They're kind of there watching you, but it's what do you do? So
I think the weirdest thing I've ever come across on the trail was this one guy who he was running. He was trail running, right? And he had a pair of capris on and a sports bra, and he had a bandana on. I'm like, okay, that's
you guys.
And he's like, hey, how you doing? Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Hey, whatever, man.
When you're in the forest, you're free. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah, you're definitely free, right?
My friend actually told me we're on the floodplain of the St. John's River. He said he saw a naked hiker out there running.
It wouldn't surprise me, man. Like you said, I've seen some pretty weird things
We hiked out there, dude, on this video, and I didn't put it in the video. We found these airboaters out there. They were so drunk. And they were had a campfire going right down the river. So during the driest season, in the winter, you can hike out there in the middle of the floodplain. There's nothing around, just wide open areas for miles. Yeah. You were out there camping. They had a fire and they had airboats. They saw us, so they left, and they were like, "Hey, we're they have beers going." And after that, though, dude, what's weird? I saw a cow head in the forest cut off.
Really?
A bullhead.
Yeah.
Someone tied it to the tree. So we saw that on the same adventure. So I included the airboat footage. I didn't include the cow head footage because it was so graphic.
It's graphic, yeah.
Yeah, someone had cut it off. But why'd they do that? Like a ceremonial? Was it a hunting?
It makes you wonder. It's one of those things that look at.
Could you imagine seeing a cow head now they have free roaming cow down this area. That's why I bring that up. You can go out there and see wild cows just walking around. So someone actually went to a cow and cut off its head, which is pretty creepy. Then they tied it to the tree, and it's wow, what do you do in that environment, in that situation?
Well, I tell you, some people would go, look at a memento of my hike. I'm going to take this home with me. Have fun carrying that.
No, it was an interesting experience because that's what I was talking about. Just you never know what you're going to come across out there, man. Just recently, I was out too at this Indian mound, the river,
Yeah.
There's someone camping out there too, man. It's incredible. I've been going out there for a couple of years now, and there's someone staying out there on the river. They have campfire. There's like a little sleeping bag there. So I went there and did a video,
Yeah.
and they weren't there at the time. I finished my video. I can hear someone coming through the woods. I got out of there. I got out of there real quick. You know.
Yeah. So what? Like, I mean, the one thing, the weirdest thing that I came across, like the oddest thing. It wasn't on the trail, but I remember walking to a friend's place up this street, and on the other side of the street there was like no development at all, and in front of me, walking the opposite way down towards me, was this guy. He looked like a Jewish rabbi. You know, he looked very dark and mysterious and just out of place. And it was weird because, you know, I didn't really look at him, but he walked right by, and as he walked by, he crossed the road and he walked over towards there's this old shed on the other side of the road, in the middle of this old field. And you know, I double taked, and the guy was gone. It was the weirdest thing, man.
Are you kidding me?
No, no, I'm serious. It was
So
really
he
freaking
was
weird.
was he when you saw him? Was he like there, like for real, like a mist?
No, he was there.
I actually tried to bring this up. I tried to mention this. I tried to find a photo. I got a photo for you guys. I was on a trail of a mist around me, so I don't have nothing like what you just saw. You saw it in real time, right?
Real time.
But so I got back home. I was looking at my photos and I saw a white mist all around me.
Yeah.
I sent to Reeves Cook from Mindset Central.
Yeah.
He even said it's probably something. And I'm trying to find that photo so I can send it to you to check it out. But it's not funny, but it's interesting that you mentioned that, because he's gone. It's like you see that and he's gone. Right?
Yeah, weird, man.
What happened? Then what'd you do?
What after I'm like,
You're like,
I just had to.
what do you think in those experiences? Are you intrigued, or you want to get out of there? Are you just
Well, it's not. I'm always up for something intriguing. Like I don't scare off easy, but it was just really weird. I'm like, okay, where did the guy go? Did he go to the shed? But I mean, the shed was open and you couldn't. It didn't look like anybody was in the shed. It was really weird. You know, you just double take it. You know, make sure the guy's not going to sneak up on you and try to like hoodwink you or something. But I don't know. But Joe, get all your info out there for the viewers and listeners. We're coming to a close, my friend.
Okay, for sure. My YouTube channel is FL Trailblazer. Go to youtube.com/FL Trailblazer. Also go to Instagram, FL Trailblazer on there. So you guys can see videos posted weekly. You can see photos on my Instagram and also video clips. So that's just a couple of ways you can find me. But just search FL Trailblazer on all kinds of social media. You'll find my stuff. I'm always posting. I'm so dedicated to you guys, and you inspire me so much. I appreciate it being on here on the show.
Oh man, you know, and
trust me, I'm out there. I've been thinking about this. I want to do more investigations. I got in contact with my friend. And we're going to do a video together, try to capture some EVPs. And if anything, I'm just trying to research more of that kind of aspect of it, you know, from a neutral aspect. That's one of my beliefs, is just don't go into it believing something. Go into it from an open mind. That's one thing my friend Gareth would always tell me, is be open-minded. And Gareth always told me, create a story, be professional, and just keep doing what you love. You know, that's what he always told me.
Exactly.
Improve yourself. You know?
Absolutely, Joe. And you know what? You're always welcome here on the show, buddy.
Thank you, man.
You're always welcome. Like I said, you know, I'm sure we'll have you back on.
Yeah, I will, because I'm going to be doing some more stuff, so you guys will like to see those discussions. Hopefully, pretty soon.
Well, we like to do dark discussions here, so you never know. Joe, hey, come on over. We're doing a dark discussion. We need a panel member. So keep your ears open and head up high and keep doing what you're doing, Joe. It's awesome, man.
Thank you,
Really,
Laura.
really enjoying the videos. Awesome stuff. It's good to see Florida like you've never seen it before.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys take care.
Take care, Joe.
Take care, Joe.
Thank you, Alex.
Oh, awesome, man. It just I have to say, um, season 14.
Season 14.
Did you actually think we'd make it to season 14?
Nope.
Here we are, man. Here we are. Next week, we've got another Mindset alumni coming on.
Yep.
Ben Emlyn Jones will be joining us all the way from the UK. It's going to be like 3:00 in the morning. But Joe is going to join us. We're gonna talk about UFO disclosure and all that fun stuff. I'm looking forward to having Joe on, man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's next Sunday night. Until then, guys, take care and thank you for tuning in and watching the live simulcast on our YouTube channel. Again, like and subscribe, please. And more of the Nocturnal Vault will be coming. The archives, we're trying to put up as much as possible there. I'm sure a couple more will land sometime this week. So until next Sunday night, folks, take care and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next Sunday, guys.
Have a good night.